Chapter 1. The Illusion of Perfection. Growing up, I believed marriage was a lifelong, unbreakable bond. My parents had a seemingly perfect relationship, full of unwavering love and devotion. This belief shaped my worldview, and I carried it into my marriage with Sarah Parker. We met in college. She was outgoing and vivacious, while I was quiet and introspective. Our differences complemented each other, and we quickly fell in love and planned our future together. We married right after graduation, full of dreams and aspirations. Life was busy but fulfilling with our two beautiful daughters, Sophie and Lily, at the center of our world. Sarah kept her maiden name, which I respected as a sign of her independence. We built a comfortable life in a picturesque suburb, and I believed we were the perfect family. But life threw an unexpected curveball that unraveled our seemingly perfect world. Tonight, my wife is with her lover. She confessed her affair after I found text messages between them. Initially, I didn't realize this marked a turning point for our family. Since then, our lives have been chaotic. Tonight, she left dressed elegantly with an overnight bag, awkwardly attempting to kiss me on the cheek, which I evaded. It's still hard to accept her infidelity. What does that say about me? Despite living in a modern era, I struggled with this harsh reality. After going through various stages of grief, I realized I had to live with her decision, though I am far from pleased. Now I must figure out how to cope with the consequences. My name is Michael Carter, and my wife's name is Sarah Parker. We have two daughters, Sophie and Lily. After discovering my wife's infidelity, I saw a lawyer to explore my options. I was filled with indignation, and after spilling my emotions, the lawyer explained what divorce would mean for me. Despite the prevalence of weapons in Texas, shooting a cheating spouse is illegal, my lawyer said with a wry smile. All states are now no fault, and family courts tend to favor the mother in custody cases unless she is a danger. In Texas, mothers typically get custody, the house, furniture, car, and financial support. So, if I initiate a divorce, I lose the house and most custody, seeing my kids only one night a week every other weekend and 2 weeks in the summer, I said, feeling the weight of the situation. I end up paying for my wife to enjoy time with another man while I live in a cramped space and hope my kids don't forget me. My lawyer nodded. Exactly. And if you try to kick her out, she could get a court order to return home, claiming a hostile environment harmful to the kids. You'd be forced out. I left her office feeling totally screwed. My lawyer, despite her huge retainer, suggested a tactic I'd heard before but thought was just a ridiculous rumor: cheaper to keep her. Basically, if I tolerate her affair, I get to keep my house, money, and time with the kids. I tried visualizing both options, and the thought of losing my kids and home was a nightmare. Realizing that living without them wasn't an option, I had to figure out my next steps, despite my marriage vows feeling meaningless now. A few weeks later, after calming down and resisting the urge to lash out at Sarah, I sat down with her to talk about our marriage. Surprisingly, she was calm. I grabbed a beer and we sat at the kitchen table. "How are we going to stay married if you want another guy?" I began, trying to keep my voice steady. "Michael, you don't understand. I am still your wife. I still love you, and we'll be together for the rest of our lives. What I do with David is just once a week because I need something you can give me right now," she said, her voice soft and almost pleading. I felt a surge of frustration. "So I'm not giving you pleasure anymore?" "Great," I said, my voice dripping with frustration. "No, that is not what I mean," she responded, trying to calm the situation. "Well, that is what it sounds like." I was already yelling, my anger escalating. "Michael, I love you and would never deny you anything," she said, trying to reassure me. "Oh, thanks. That makes it all better." I'm really happy to get pity entertainment now and then. Sarcasm dripped from my words. I went to the kitchen for another beer, feeling the need to escape. Sarah put her hands on my shoulders, trying to offer comfort. "Michael, I did everything wrong. Let's go to the bedroom and I'll show you how much I love you," she suggested, her voice filled with regret. "Why would you want to do that? You just said I don't satisfy you. Why don't you go to your boyfriend instead?" I couldn't take it anymore and stormed to my basement office, slamming the door behind me. Thus began my life with an unfaithful wife who showed no remorse. While she was out, I moved all her stuff to the basement bedroom. When she got home, all hell broke loose. "Michael, where are my clothes?" she screamed, her voice echoing through the house. "Since you didn't want to be with me and were thinking about your boyfriend, I thought it best we sleep in separate bedrooms. Your stuff is in the basement." "You are welcome," I said, walking away. Now you wouldn't have to worry about bad fun with me anymore. After that, the house got very cold. Damn, what am I going to do now? "I'm not sleeping in that basement bedroom," Sarah muttered to herself. As soon as I left, she rearranged everything. The kids, Sophie and Lily, watched, confused. Once done, she started making my favorite dinner meatloaf, mashed potatoes, and peas. When I got home, the meal was nearly ready. I told him to get the kids washed and ready for dinner, she told her friend over the phone. He did, and we sat down to eat. The girls chatted, and I talked to them but didn't look at Sarah or say a word to her. After dinner, I cleaned up as was our routine, got the girls ready for bed, read them a story, and turned out the light. I then went to our home office, typing away on the computer. When I came upstairs, Sarah was already in bed. I took a shower, brushed my teeth, and got into bed silently. She tried to snuggle up, but I pulled her hand away and tucked the sheet between us. The next few weeks were the same. The house felt icy. I believed Sarah would come around eventually, realizing her time with David meant nothing to our marriage. I just had to be patient. A few months later, I still hadn't touched Sarah, and my frustration was growing daily. To relieve stress, I started running at 5:00 a.m. The first days were brutal, but by the third week, it got easier. I started enjoying the early mornings and gradually increased my distance, eventually walking over 6 miles a day. I lost some weight and felt better physically, though not emotionally. I needed a change and thought about buying a trailer and truck for camping. I knew Sarah would question it, but I had a ready response. "Why do you need a boyfriend?" I took the kids to an RV show, and they were thrilled. They made plans for each trailer we saw, wanting to go camping and traveling. Although I had a budget, I quickly realized that modern camping trailers and trucks are expensive. After much deliberation, I decided to buy a used 2-year-old Grand Design Transcend model with bunk beds for the girls and a double bed for me. It had all the amenities we needed, including 1.5 bathrooms, 2 TVs, and air conditioning. The trailer was nearly 37 feet long. Next, I found a 2-year-old GMC 2500 HD Crew Cab Denali with low mileage and a diesel engine sold by an elderly couple. They had health issues and planned to spend time in Portugal instead of camping. I got a good deal and bought the truck. In total, I invested about $80,000 in the truck and trailer. I planned to take my kids on trips around the country. I wanted to show Sarah that this was an important time in our kids' lives and she could choose to be part of it or not. If she declined, it would ultimately be her loss. As we loaded the trailer for our first trip, the girls were buzzing with excitement. "Daddy, can we go hiking when we get there?" Sophie asked, her eyes sparkling with anticipation. "Of course, sweetie. We're going to have so much fun," I replied, smiling despite the turmoil inside. When Sarah saw the packed trailer, she seemed taken aback. "So, you are really going through with this?" she asked, her voice a mix of surprise and annoyance. "Yes, I am. It's important for the girls," I said firmly. "Michael, this is just a phase, you'll see. We'll work things out," she said, trying to sound reassuring. "Maybe, Sarah. Maybe," I said, not entirely convinced. As we drove away, I felt a strange mix of liberation and sadness. This trip was a new beginning, a chance to build something meaningful with my daughters. And maybe, just maybe, it was the first step towards finding peace amidst the chaos. The week went wonderfully. The weather was great, and we enjoyed hiking and having fun. One day at the water park was a huge success. Surprisingly, the girls weren't as disappointed by Sarah's absence as I expected. They noticed their mom spending less time at home and with them. I reassured them that nothing their mom was doing was because of them. It was all about Sarah. When we returned home, Sarah greeted the girls with hugs, but there was an awkwardness between us. She asked about the trip, and I told her it was in North Carolina near a water park. After finishing with the trailer, I went inside, started the laundry, took a shower, and began making dinner. Sarah offered to cook, but I said I'd handle it. As we ate, Sarah acted unusually interested in our week. "Did you have fun?" she asked, trying to sound cheerful. "Yes, we did. The girls loved it," I replied curtly. The next few months were a blur of routine and avoidance. Sarah continued her affair with David, and I focused on my daughters and my own well-being. Despite the facade of normalcy, the underlying tension was palpable. One evening, after putting the girls to bed, I sat down with Sarah again. "Sarah, we can keep living like this. We need to make a decision about our future," I said, my voice firm. "Michael, I know I've hurt you, but I still love you and the girls. Can't we find a way to make this work?" she pleaded, tears welling up in her eyes. "I don't know, Sarah. I just don't know," I said, feeling a lump in my throat. As I left the room, I realized that the illusion of perfection had long since shattered. Now, it was a matter of picking up the pieces and figuring out what came next. Chapter 2: The Discovery. The next morning, the sun was just beginning to rise, casting a soft golden glow through the curtains. I was up early, preparing breakfast for Sophie and Lily before they woke up. The aroma of freshly brewed coffee filled the kitchen, mingling with the scent of pancakes sizzling on the griddle. It was a rare moment of peace in an otherwise tumultuous life. As I set the table, my mind wandered back to the previous evening. Sarah's tearful plea for reconciliation echoed in my ears. I wanted to believe her, to trust that we could rebuild our shattered marriage, but the wounds were still too fresh, the betrayal too deep. Sophie and Lily bounded into the kitchen, their laughter a welcome distraction from my troubled thoughts. "Daddy, can we have chocolate chips in our pancakes?" Lily asked, her eyes sparkling with mischief. "Sure thing, sweetheart," I replied, ruffling her hair. "Just don't tell Mom, okay? Promise!" Sophie and Lily chorused, giggling. After breakfast, I dropped the girls off at school and headed to work. The drive was a blur of routine, my thoughts consumed by the weight of my crumbling marriage. At the office, I tried to focus on my tasks, but the distraction was relentless. My colleagues noticed my distant demeanor, offering sympathetic glances but saying nothing. During lunch, I decided to take a walk to clear my head. As I strolled through the nearby park, my phone buzzed with a notification. It was an email from Sarah, a rare occurrence since our communication had dwindled to the bare minimum necessary for co-parenting. I opened the email and found a single line, "We need to talk tonight, it's important." My heart sank. What now? Was she going to admit to another affair? Was she finally ready to end things? That evening, after the girls were in bed, Sarah and I sat down in the living room. The tension between us was palpable, a silent chasm that seemed impossible to bridge. "Michael, I've been thinking a lot about us, about our future," she began, her voice trembling. "I know I've made mistakes, and I've hurt you deeply, but I want to make things right." I took a deep breath, trying to steady my emotions. "What do you propose, Sarah?" "Counseling," she said, her eyes pleading. "I think we should see a therapist, try to work through our issues, for the sake of the girls, if nothing else." I considered her words carefully. Counseling could be a way to salvage what was left of our marriage, or at least provide a framework for a more amicable separation. "All right," I said finally. "I'll go to counseling with you. But understand this, Sarah, I am doing it for Sophie and Lily, not for us." She nodded, tears streaming down her cheeks. "Thank you, Michael. I know this one to be easy, but it's a start." In the days that followed, we found a marriage counselor and scheduled our first session. The process was painful, forcing us to confront our deepest fears and insecurities, but it also offered a glimmer of hope, a chance to rebuild trust and understanding. One evening, after a particularly intense session, I was tidying up the kitchen when Sarah's phone buzzed on the counter. I glanced at the screen and saw a message from David. Curiosity got the better of me, and I unlocked her phone. The messages between Sarah and David were explicit, detailing their secret meetings and intimate encounters. My stomach churned with a mix of anger and despair. She had promised to end things with him, but here was the proof of her continued deceit. As I scrolled through the messages, one particular conversation caught my eye. It was dated just a few days ago, during our first counseling session. Can't wait to see you again. This counseling thing is just a formality, she had written. I felt a surge of rage. How could she lie to me, to our counselor, to herself? I confronted her the moment she walked into the kitchen. Sarah, care to explain this? I demanded, holding up her phone. Her eyes widened in shock and fear. Michael, I can explain, she stammered. Don't bother, I said coldly. You've lied to me for the last time. The argument that followed was explosive. We hurled accusations and insults at each other, our voices echoing through the house. Sophie and Lily stood at the top of the stairs, their eyes wide with fear and confusion. Go back to bed, girls, I called up to them, trying to keep my voice steady. Everything's fine. But nothing was fine. The illusion of reconciliation had shattered, and the reality of Sarah's betrayal was laid bare. That night, as I lay awake in the guest bedroom, I made a decision. The time for tolerance was over. I needed to take control of my life, for my sake and for my daughter's. The next morning, I called my lawyer and scheduled an appointment. It was time to prepare for the inevitable. As I drove to the office, I couldn't shake the image of Sarah's messages from my mind. The hurt and anger fueled my resolve. I would protect my daughters no matter what it took. At the lawyer's office, I explained the situation in detail. I want full custody of Sophie and Lily, I said firmly. Sarah's affair is putting them at risk, and I want to stand for it. My lawyer nodded, taking notes. We'll build a strong case, Michael. But be prepared, these things can get ugly. I don't care, I replied. I just want my girls to be safe. As I left the office, a sense of determination settled over me. This was the beginning of a new chapter, one where I would no longer be a victim of Sarah's deceit. I would fight for my daughters and build a life free from the shadows of betrayal. That evening, I sat down with Sophie and Lily, explaining the situation in the simplest terms. Mom and I are going to be living apart for a while, I said gently. But no matter what happens, we both love you very much. Sophie looked up at me with tear-filled eyes. Will we still see Mom? Of course, sweetheart, I assured her. You all still see Mom, and we'll make sure you have lots of time with both of us. Lily hugged me tightly. I love you, Daddy. I love you too, Lily. And I promise, everything will be okay, I said, my heart aching for them. As I tucked them into bed that night, I felt a renewed sense of purpose. The road ahead would be difficult, but I was ready to face it. For Sophie and Lily, I would do whatever it took to create a stable and loving home. With that thought in mind, I went to bed, determined to fight for the future my daughters deserved. Chapter 3. The Confrontation. The following days were a whirlwind of legal consultations and emotional turbulence. My lawyer, Emily Hayes, was diligent and thorough, guiding me through the complex process of preparing for the custody battle. We gathered evidence, documented Sarah's infidelity, and built a case to demonstrate that I was the more suitable parent to provide a stable and loving environment for Sophie and Lily. One evening, as I was going through some paperwork in my home office, Sarah walked in. Her face was pale, her eyes red from crying. Michael, we need to talk, she said softly, her voice barely above a whisper. I looked up, feeling a mixture of anger and sadness. What is it, Sarah? I asked, my tone cold and distant. She took a deep breath, trying to steady herself. I've been thinking a lot about what you said, about us and the girls. I know I have hurt you and I know I have made mistakes, but I want to fix this. I want to save our marriage. I stared at her, struggling to keep my emotions in check. It's too late for that, Sarah. You've lied to me, to our counselor, and to yourself. How can I ever trust you again? Tears streamed down her face as she pleaded with me. Michael, please. I am willing to do whatever it takes. I'll end things with David. I'll go to counseling. I'll do anything. Just give me one more chance. I shook my head, feeling a pang of sorrow for the woman I once loved. Sarah, I don't think you understand. It's not just about ending things with David. It says about the lies, the betrayal, and the complete disregard for our family. You've broken something that can be fixed. She fell to her knees, sobbing uncontrollably. Michael, please. I love you. I love the girls. I can lose you. I stood up, feeling the weight of the moment. I'm sorry, Sarah, but this is the end. We need to move forward separately, for the sake of the girls and for ourselves. She looked up at me, her eyes filled with despair. What about the girls? They need both of us. How will they handle this? They'll be fine, I said, trying to sound confident. We'll make sure they have plenty of time with both of us. But they deserve a stable and loving environment. And right now, that is something we can provide together. As she left the room, I felt a sense of finality wash over me. This was the end of a chapter, but also the beginning of a new one. I had to stay strong for Sophie and Lily and ensure that they felt loved and secure during this transition. The next few days were tense. Sarah and I avoided each other, communicating only when necessary for the girls' sake. One evening, after dinner, I decided it was time to have a serious talk with the girls about the changes ahead. Sophie, Lily, can we sit down for a minute? I asked, my voice gentle but firm. They looked up from their homework, curiosity and concern evident in their eyes. Sure, Daddy, Sophie said, sitting on the couch next to Lily. I took a deep breath, gathering my thoughts. Girls, I want to talk to you about some changes that are going to happen. Your mom and I have decided that we're going to live apart for a while. Lily's eyes widened with fear. Are you getting divorced, Daddy? Yes, sweetie, we are, I said softly. But that doesn't change how much we both love you. You and Sophie are the most important things in our lives, and we are going to do everything we can to make sure you are happy and safe. Sophie looked up at me, her eyes filled with tears. Will we still see you and Mom? Of course, sweetheart, I reassured her. You'll spend time with both of us. We'll work out a schedule so you can have plenty of time with each of us. Lily clung to me, her small body trembling. I don't want you to go, Daddy. I hugged her tightly, feeling my own tears welling up. I know, Lily, but sometimes parents need to make tough decisions to make things better in the long run, and I promise we'll get through this together. As I tucked them into bed that night, I felt a renewed sense of determination. This was going to be a difficult journey, but I was ready to face it head on. For Sophie and Lily, I would do whatever it took to create a stable and loving home. The next morning, as I was preparing breakfast, Sarah walked into the kitchen. Michael, can we talk? She asked, her voice tentative. I nodded, gesturing for her to sit down. What is it, Sarah? I've been thinking about what you said and I realize that you are right. I've made a mess of things and it's not fair to you or the girls. I want to make this transition as smooth as possible for them, she said, her voice steady but filled with sorrow. I appreciate that, Sarah. The most important thing is that we put the girls first, I replied, feeling a glimmer of hope that we could at least work together for their sake. Over the next few weeks, we worked on a co-parenting plan with the help of our lawyers. It was a difficult and often painful process, but we both knew it was necessary. We agreed on a schedule that allowed the girls to spend ample time with each of us, ensuring that their routines remained as consistent as possible. One evening, as I was packing up some of Sarah's belongings, she approached me. Michael, thank you for being so understanding. I know this isn't easy for any of us. I nodded, feeling a mixture of sadness and relief. It is what is best for the girls, and ultimately it is what is best for us too. As Sarah moved out, the reality of our new lives began to set in. The house felt emptier, the silence more pronounced. But there was also a sense of liberation, a newfound space to rebuild and heal. The first weekend the girls spent with Sarah was difficult. The house was eerily quiet without their laughter and energy. I kept myself busy with chores and hobbies, but the emptiness was palpable. It was during one of these quiet moments that I received a call from Nicole Bennett. Hey, Michael, how are you holding up? Nicole's voice was warm and soothing, a welcome contrast to the turmoil of my recent days. I am managing, I replied, trying to keep my voice steady. It has been tough, but we are getting through it. Would you like to meet up for a coffee? I think it might be good to talk, she suggested. I hesitated for a moment, then agreed. That sounds nice, Nicole. I'd like that. We met at a small cafe in town, a cozy place with a relaxed atmosphere. As we sat down with our drinks, I felt a sense of calm wash over me. How are the girls? Nicole asked, her eyes filled with genuine concern. "They're doing okay. It's been hard on them, but they are strong," I said, feeling a surge of pride for Sophie and Lily. Nicole nodded, her expression thoughtful. "You're doing a great job, Michael. It's clear how much you love them." "Thanks, Nicole. That means a lot," I replied, feeling a warmth spread through me. We talked for hours, sharing stories and experiences. Nicole's presence was a balm to my wounded soul, and I found myself opening up in ways I hadn't expected. As we parted ways, Nicole gave me a hug. "Take care of yourself, Michael. And remember, you're not alone." I watched her walk away, feeling a strange mix of hope and uncertainty. This was a new beginning, a chance to rebuild my life on my terms. That night, as I lay in bed, I thought about the journey ahead. It would be filled with challenges and heartache, but also with opportunities for growth and healing. And with Sophie and Lily by my side, I knew I could face whatever came our way. Chapter 4. New Beginnings. The first few weeks of our new arrangement were challenging. The house felt different without Sarah's presence, and the girls were adjusting to the new routine. I tried to keep things as normal as possible for Sophie and Lily, ensuring they felt loved and secure despite the changes. One Saturday morning, as the sun streamed through the kitchen window, I found myself making pancakes again, this time with extra chocolate chips. Sophie and Lily sat at the table, chatting animatedly about their upcoming school projects. "Daddy, can we go to the park today?" Lily asked, her eyes wide with anticipation. "Of course, sweetheart," I replied, flipping a pancake onto a plate. "We'll have a picnic and spend the whole afternoon there." The girls cheered, and I couldn't help but smile. Moments like these made the hard times worth it. After breakfast, we packed a picnic basket with sandwiches, fruit, and cookies, and headed to the park. The park was bustling with families, children laughing and playing, and couples strolling hand in hand. We found a shady spot under a large oak tree and spread out our blanket. As the girls ran off to play on the swings, I leaned back against the tree, savoring the peaceful moment. "Hey, Michael!" a familiar voice called out. I looked up to see Nicole walking towards us, a smile lighting up her face. "Nicole, what a pleasant surprise," I said, standing up to greet her. "I thought I'd come by and say hello." "How are you doing?" she asked, her eyes full of warmth and concern. "We are doing all right. The girls are adjusting well," I replied, glancing over at Sophie and Lily, who were now playing on the jungle gym. Nicole sat down on the blanket, and we chatted for a while, catching up on life. Her presence was comforting, and I found myself opening up about my fears and hopes for the future. "You know, Michael, it is okay to feel overwhelmed." "You're doing an amazing job with the girls," Nicole said, her hand resting gently on my arm. "Thanks, Nicole. Your support means a lot," I replied, feeling a surge of gratitude. As the afternoon wore on, the girls returned, breathless and giggling. "Daddy, can we have some cookies now?" Sophie asked, her cheeks flushed with excitement. "Absolutely," I said, handing them each a cookie. "And then, how about a game of frisbee?" The rest of the afternoon was filled with laughter and play. Nicole joined us for frisbee, her agility and enthusiasm matching the girls. It was a perfect day, a reminder that even in the midst of turmoil, there were moments of joy and connection. That evening, after tucking the girls into bed, I found myself thinking about Nicole. She had become a steady presence in our lives, offering friendship and support. There was a warmth between us that felt natural and comforting, and I couldn't help but wonder what the future might hold. The next week, I decided to invite Nicole and her daughter Olivia over for dinner. It was a casual invitation, but I was excited about the prospect of our families spending more time together. "Hey, Nicole, I was wondering if you and Olivia would like to come over for dinner this weekend," I asked her over the phone. "That sounds wonderful, Michael. We'd love to," she replied, her voice filled with genuine happiness. Saturday evening arrived, and I found myself in the kitchen, preparing a hearty meal of spaghetti and meatballs. The girls were excited about having Olivia over, and their enthusiasm was infectious. "Daddy, can I set the table?" Lily asked, her eyes sparkling. "Of course, sweetheart. Thank you for helping," I said, handing her the plates and silverware. When Nicole and Olivia arrived, the house was filled with laughter and chatter. The girls bonded instantly, playing games and sharing stories. Nicole and I chatted in the kitchen, the warmth of the evening enveloping us. "Michael, this smells amazing," Nicole said, taking a deep breath of the savory aroma. "Thanks. It is one of the girls' favorites," I replied, smiling. As we sat down to dinner, the conversation flowed easily. The girls talked excitedly about school and their favorite activities, while Nicole and I shared stories about our own childhoods. After dinner, we moved to the living room, where the girls played a board game, and Nicole and I continued our conversation. "Michael, I have to say, I'm really impressed with how you are handling everything," Nicole said, her eyes filled with admiration. "It's been tough, but having friends like you makes it easier," I replied, feeling a deep sense of gratitude. As the evening drew to a close, and Nicole and Olivia prepared to leave, I walked them to the door. "Thank you for coming. It was a wonderful evening," I said, my voice warm. "Thank you for having us." "We had a great time," Nicole replied, giving me a hug. As I closed the door behind them, I felt a sense of hope. This was a new beginning, not just for me, but for Sophie and Lily as well. We were building a new life, one filled with love and support. The following weeks were filled with more shared dinners, playdates, and outings. Nicole and Olivia became a regular part of our lives, and the bond between our families grew stronger. One sunny afternoon, as we all sat in the backyard watching the girls play, Nicole turned to me. "Michael, I have to tell you something," she said, her voice serious. I looked at her, feeling a mix of curiosity and apprehension. "What is it, Nicole?" She took a deep breath, her eyes meeting mine. "I've developed feelings for you. I know we've both been through a lot, and I don't want to complicate things, but I felt it was important to be honest with you." Her words hung in the air, and I felt a rush of emotions. Nicole had become an important part of my life, and the thought of a future together filled me with a sense of hope and possibility. "I've developed feelings for you too, Nicole," I admitted, my voice steady. "You've been a source of strength and comfort, and I can't imagine going through this without you." A smile spread across her face, and she reached out to take my hand. "I'm glad we talked about this. Let us take things one step at a time and see where it leads." As we sat there, hand in hand, watching our daughters play, I felt a deep sense of contentment. This was a new chapter, one filled with promise and the possibility of love and happiness. Life wasn't perfect, and there would be challenges ahead, but I was ready to face them. With Nicole by my side, and the love and laughter of our children filling our days, I knew that we could build a beautiful future together. Chapter 5. The Unspoken Truth. The summer days passed by in a blur of activities and new routines. The girls were adjusting well to the changes, and their laughter filled the house with a warmth I hadn't felt in a long time. Nicole and Olivia had become a significant part of our lives, and I cherished the moments we all spent together. One evening, after putting the girls to bed, I found myself sitting on the porch, enjoying the cool night air. Nicole joined me, carrying 2 cups of tea. "Mind if I join you?" she asked, her smile lighting up the darkness. "Not at all," I replied, grateful for her company. We sat in comfortable silence for a while, sipping our tea and listening to the sounds of the night. Finally, Nicole broke the silence. "Michael, there's something I have been wanting to talk to you about." I turned to her, sensing the seriousness in her tone. "What is it, Nicole?" She took a deep breath, her eyes searching mine. "I know we've been focusing on building a new life and moving forward, but I think it's important to address the past. There are things about Sarah that you need to know." I felt a knot form in my stomach. "What do you mean?" "Sarah and I were close friends in college, long before you and I met. There were things about her that I chose to ignore, thinking they were just youthful indiscretions. But now I see that those patterns never really changed," Nicole said, her voice steady. I listened intently, my mind racing. "Go on." "Sarah has always craved attention and validation, often seeking it in ways that hurt those around her. Her relationship with David wasn't the first time she strayed. There were others, even before you two were married," Nicole revealed, her eyes filled with sorrow. The weight of her words sank in, and I felt a mix of anger and betrayal. "Why didn't you tell me this before?" I asked, struggling to keep my voice steady. "I didn't want to hurt you, Michael, and I hoped that Sarah had changed, that she would be the partner you deserved. But seeing the pain she has caused you, I realized that you needed to know the truth," Nicole said, her voice trembling. I nodded, taking a deep breath to calm myself. "Thank you for telling me, Nicole. It's painful to hear, but I appreciate your honesty." We sat in silence for a while, the night air heavy with unspoken emotions. Finally, Nicole reached out and took my hand. "Michael, you deserve happiness and peace, and I believe we can build that together." I squeezed her hand, feeling a sense of gratitude and hope. "I believe that too, Nicole, and I'm ready to face whatever comes next, as long as we do it together." The next morning, I decided it was time to have a frank conversation with Sarah. She deserved to know that I was aware of her past actions, and it was essential for us to address these issues if we were going to co-parent effectively. I called Sarah and asked her to meet me at a local cafe. She agreed, sounding a bit apprehensive. When she arrived, we exchanged polite greetings and sat down with our drinks. "Sarah, there's something we need to talk about," I began, my tone serious. She looked at me, her eyes wary. "What is it, Michael? I have learned some things about your past, about your relationships before and during our marriage. I need to understand why you did what you did and how we can move forward from here," I said, trying to keep my emotions in check. Sarah's face paled, and she took a deep breath. "I suppose Nicole told you." "Yes, she did. And while it's painful to hear, I think it's important for us to address it," I replied. Sarah looked down at her hands, her voice barely above a whisper. "I don't know what to say, Michael. I've made so many mistakes and I don't know how to fix them." "Why did you do it, Sarah? Wasn't our family enough?" I asked, my voice breaking. Tears streamed down her face as she struggled to find the words. I've always struggled with feelings of inadequacy, of not being good enough. I sought validation in the wrong places, thinking it would make me feel better. But all it did was cause pain and destruction. I listened, my heart aching for the woman I once loved. "Sarah, I don't know if I can ever fully understand your actions. But for the sake of Sophie and Lily, we need to find a way to move forward." She nodded, wiping her tears. "I know, Michael. I want to be a better mother and a better person. I know I don't deserve forgiveness, but I hope we can at least find a way to co-parent peacefully." "We will," I said firmly. "For the girls, we have to." As we parted ways, I felt a sense of closure. It wasn't a resolution, but it was a step towards healing and moving forward. I knew there would be more difficult conversations and emotions to navigate, but I was ready to face them. Over the next few weeks, Sarah and I worked on improving our co-parenting relationship. We communicated more effectively, focusing on the girls' needs and well-being. It wasn't easy, but it was necessary. One evening, as I was preparing dinner, Sophie approached me with a curious expression. "Daddy, are you and Mom going to be friends again?" I knelt down to her level, looking into her innocent eyes. "Sweetie, your mom and I are working on being good co-parents for you and Lily. We may not be best friends, but we will always be a team when it comes to taking care of you." She nodded, seemingly satisfied with my answer. "Okay, Daddy. I just want everyone to be happy." "We will be, Sophie. I promise," I said, hugging her tightly. As I tucked the girls into bed that night, I felt a sense of peace. The road ahead would still have its challenges, but we were making progress. I had Nicole's support and the love of my daughters, and that was enough to keep me moving forward. That weekend, we planned a trip to a nearby state park. It was a chance to escape the routine and spend quality time together. Nicole and Olivia joined us, and the girls were thrilled at the prospect of an adventure. We hiked through the lush trails, the sound of leaves crunching under our feet, and the laughter of the girls filling the air. We explored hidden waterfalls, had picnics by the lake, and roasted marshmallows by the campfire at night. One evening, as the stars twinkled above us and the girls were tucked into their sleeping bags, Nicole and I sat by the fire, enjoying the tranquility. "Michael, I have to say, This has been one of the best weekends I've had in a long time, Nicole said, her eyes reflecting the flickering flames. Me too, Nicole. It has been wonderful, I replied, feeling a deep sense of contentment. As we sat there sharing stories and dreams, I realized how much my life had changed. The pain of the past was still there, but it was slowly being overshadowed by new memories and new beginnings. Nicole reached out and took my hand, her touch warm and reassuring. Michael, no matter what happens, we'll face it together. I squeezed her hand, feeling a surge of gratitude and love. Together, I echoed, knowing that with her by my side, we could handle anything. As the fire crackled and the night wore on, I felt a sense of hope for the future. It wouldn't be easy, but with love, support, and determination, we were building something beautiful, and that was more than enough. Chapter 6. The Heart to Heart. The autumn leaves began to fall, painting the ground in hues of red and gold. The crisp air was a reminder that change was in the air, both literally and figuratively. My relationship with Nicole was blossoming, and our families were growing closer. Yet, there was an unresolved tension between Sarah and me that needed addressing. One evening, after dropping the girls off at Sarah S. for the weekend, I decided to have a candid conversation with Mark Johnson. I needed closure, and I wanted to understand his perspective. It was a step I felt was necessary for my own healing. I called Mark and asked if we could meet. He seemed surprised, but agreed. We decided to meet at a quiet pub in town. As I walked in, I saw him sitting in a corner, nursing a beer. He looked up, a mix of apprehension and curiosity in his eyes. "Michael," he said, standing up to shake my hand. "Thanks for meeting me." "Mark," I replied, taking a seat across from him. "I appreciate you agreeing to this." We ordered drinks and sat in an awkward silence for a few moments. Finally, I broke the ice. "Mark, I need to understand why. Why did you get involved with Sarah, knowing she was married and had a family?" He sighed, taking a long sip of his beer. "I want to make excuses, Michael. What I did was wrong. But Sarah and we connected on a level that was hard to resist. It started innocently enough, just talking and sharing our frustrations. But it quickly escalated. I listened, feeling a mix of anger and sadness. Did you ever consider the impact on her family? On me? On our daughters?" Mark S.'s expression turned serious. "I did, but not nearly enough. I was selfish, caught up in the moment. Sarah made it seem like you two were on the brink of ending things anyway." I shook my head, the pain of his words cutting deep. "We had our issues, but I believed we could work through them. Your involvement made that impossible. I am truly sorry, Michael." "I never meant to cause this much damage," Mark said, his voice filled with regret. I took a deep breath, trying to steady my emotions. "What happens now, Mark? Are you still involved with Sarah?" He shook his head. "No. After everything came out, we both realized it was a mistake. We've ended it, and I am trying to move on." There was a long silence as we both processed the gravity of the situation. Finally, I spoke again. "I appreciate your honesty, Mark. But understand this, my priority is my daughters. I'll do whatever it takes to ensure their well-being." "I understand, Michael, and I respect that. I hope we can all find a way to move forward," Mark said, his tone sincere. We parted ways with a handshake, a sense of closure settling over me. It wasn't forgiveness, but it was a step towards healing. I knew the road ahead would still be challenging, but I felt a renewed sense of purpose. The next day, Nicole and I took Sophie, Lily, and Olivia to the local apple orchard. It was a beautiful autumn day, perfect for apple picking and enjoying the outdoors. The girls ran ahead, laughing and chasing each other through the rows of apple trees. As we walked hand in hand, Nicole turned to me. "How did your meeting with Mark go?" "It was tough, but I think it was necessary. I needed to hear his side of the story, to understand why things happened the way they did," I replied, squeezing her hand. "Do you feel better now?" she asked, her eyes filled with concern. "I do, actually. It's not about forgiving or forgetting, but understanding and moving forward," I said, feeling a weight lift off my shoulders. We spent the day picking apples, enjoying the fresh air, and creating new memories. It was a reminder that life goes on, and there is always room for new beginnings. That evening, as we sat around the dinner table, the girls excitedly talking about their favorite moments from the day, I felt a deep sense of contentment. This was what mattered: family, love, and the simple joys of life. After dinner, as I tucked Sophie and Lily into bed, Sophie looked up at me with her big, inquisitive eyes. "Daddy, are we going to be okay?" I smiled, brushing a strand of hair from her face. "Yes, sweetheart. We're going to be just fine. We have each other, and that's all we need." Lily hugged her teddy bear tightly. "I love you, Daddy. I love you too, Lily." "Always," I replied, feeling a surge of love and gratitude. As I closed their bedroom door, I reflected on how far we had come. There were still challenges ahead, but I felt stronger and more capable of facing them. With Nicole by my side and the love of my daughters, I knew we could overcome anything. The next weekend, Nicole and I decided to take a short trip to the mountains with the girls. It was a chance to escape the routine and enjoy the beauty of nature. We rented a cozy cabin with a breathtaking view of the surrounding peaks. The first morning, we woke up early to catch the sunrise. The sky was painted in shades of pink and orange, and the air was crisp and refreshing. We hiked up a nearby trail, the girls chattering excitedly as they explored the wonders of the forest. At the summit, we sat down to rest, taking in the stunning view. Nicole wrapped her arms around me, her warmth a comfort against the cool mountain air. "This is perfect, Michael. Thank you for bringing us here." "It's exactly what we needed," I replied, feeling a deep sense of peace. As the days passed, we hiked, fished, and spent evenings by the campfire, sharing stories and laughter. The bond between our families grew stronger, and I felt a renewed sense of hope for the future. One evening, as the girls roasted marshmallows and the stars twinkled above, Nicole and I sat a little apart, enjoying the quiet moment. "Michael, I've been thinking a lot about us," Nicole said, her voice soft but steady. "I know we've both been through a lot and there's no rush, but I want you to know that I am here for the long haul. Whatever comes our way, we'll face it together." I looked into her eyes, feeling a surge of love and gratitude. "Nicole, I feel the same way. You've been my rock through all of this, and I can't imagine my life without you. Let's take it one step at a time, but know that I am committed to building a future with you." We sat there, wrapped in each other's embrace, watching the flames dance in the fire. The future was uncertain, but with love, determination, and the support of our blended family, I knew we could face anything. As the trip came to an end and we packed up to head home, I felt a renewed sense of purpose. This was a new beginning, filled with hope, love, and the promise of a brighter future. And with Nicole, Sophie, Lily, and Olivia by my side, I was ready to embrace whatever lay ahead. Chapter 7. Planning the Escape. The transition back from the mountains was smooth, and the sense of tranquility from the trip lingered. The girls were happier, more at ease, and the bond between our families felt stronger than ever. However, I knew there were still loose ends to tie up, especially concerning the divorce and the custody arrangements. One crisp morning, I sat in my office, surrounded by stacks of paperwork. The legal battle with Sarah was looming, and I wanted to ensure that everything was in order. I had a meeting scheduled with Emily Hayes, my lawyer, to finalize our strategy. When I arrived at Emily S.'s office, she greeted me with a warm smile. "Good morning, Michael. How are you holding up?" "I am doing all right, Emily. Just ready to get this over with," I replied, taking a seat across from her desk. "Understandable. We are making good progress. I've gathered all the necessary documents, and I believe we have a strong case for full custody," she said, handing me a folder filled with legal papers. We spent the next hour going over the details, ensuring that every aspect was covered. Emily was meticulous, leaving no stone unturned. As we wrapped up, she looked at me with a reassuring expression. "Michael, we're going to fight for what is best for Sophie and Lily. I am confident we'll achieve a favorable outcome. Thank you, Emily." "Your support means a lot," I said, feeling a sense of relief. That evening, I decided to have a serious talk with the girls about the upcoming changes. It was important that they understood what was happening, and felt secure in the process. After dinner, I gathered them in the living room. "Sophie, Lily, I need to talk to you about something important," I began, my tone gentle but firm. They looked up at me, their eyes filled with curiosity and a hint of apprehension. "What is it, Daddy?" Sophie asked. "Your mom and I are going through a divorce. It means we want to be living together anymore. But I want you to know that this doesn't change how much we both love you," I said, trying to keep my emotions in check. Lily's eyes welled up with tears. "Are we going to have to choose who to live with?" I shook my head, pulling her close. "No, sweetie. We're going to work out a plan where you'll spend time with both of us. You'll always have both Mommy and Daddy in your life." Sophie looked thoughtful. "Will we still be able to do fun things together, like go to the park and have picnics?" "Absolutely, Sophie. We'll make sure to have lots of fun together. And you'll have special times with your mom, too," I reassured her. They nodded, seeming to understand. "Okay, Daddy, we love you," Lily said, hugging me tightly. "I love you too, girls." "More than anything," I said, feeling a surge of determination. The following week, I focused on ensuring everything was ready for the court proceedings. I worked closely with Emily, gathering evidence and preparing my testimony. It was exhausting, but I knew it was necessary to protect my daughters. One evening, as I was reviewing some documents, Nicole called. "Hey, Michael, how are things going? It's been hectic, but we are getting there. The court date is approaching, and I am just making sure everything is in order," I replied, feeling a wave of fatigue. "You are doing great, Michael, and remember, I am here for you. If you need anything, just let me know," she said, her voice filled with warmth. "Thanks, Nicole. Your support means the world to me," I said, feeling a sense of gratitude. A few days later, the court date arrived. I dressed in my best suit, feeling a mix of nerves and resolve. Emily met me at the courthouse, her presence a calming influence. We walked into the courtroom together, ready to face whatever came our way. As the proceedings began, I felt a surge of determination. This was for Sophie and Lily, and I was prepared to fight for their well-being. Sarah and her lawyer presented their case, but Emily was relentless, countering each point with precision and clarity. When it was my turn to testify, I spoke from the heart. I described my dedication to my daughters, the steps I had taken to provide a stable and loving home, and my concerns about Sarah's behavior. It was an emotional experience, but I felt a sense of relief as I finished, knowing I had given it my all. The judge listened carefully, taking notes and asking questions. The tension in the room was palpable as we waited for his decision. Finally, he looked up, his expression serious but fair. "After considering all the evidence and testimonies, I have reached a decision. Custody of Sophie and Lily will be awarded to Michael Carter. Sarah Parker will have visitation rights, and both parents will work together to ensure the well-being of the children," he declared. A wave of relief washed over me, and I felt tears prick my eyes. This was the best possible outcome for my daughters. Emily gave me a reassuring nod, and I knew we had done it. As we left the courthouse, I called Nicole to share the news. "Nicole, we did it. I got full custody. That is wonderful news, Michael. I'm so happy for you and the girls," she replied, her voice filled with joy. That evening, we celebrated with a special dinner at home. The girls were thrilled, and the atmosphere was filled with laughter and love. It was a new beginning, a chance to move forward and build a brighter future. In the days that followed, I focused on creating a stable and happy home for Sophie and Lily. Nicole and Olivia were a constant presence, their support and love a source of strength. We spent weekends exploring new parks, going on adventures, and creating new memories. One sunny Saturday, we decided to visit a nearby beach. The girls were excited, their laughter echoing across the sand as they built sandcastles and played in the waves. Nicole and I sat nearby, watching them with smiles on our faces. "This is perfect, Michael," Nicole said, her hand resting on mine. "I am so happy we are building this life together." "Me too, Nicole." "I can't imagine it any other way," I replied, feeling a deep sense of contentment. As the sun set, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink, I felt a sense of peace. The past was behind us, and the future was filled with promise. With Nicole by my side and the love of my daughters, I knew we could face anything. Life wasn't tea without its challenges, but we faced them together with love, determination, and unwavering support. This was our escape from the shadows of the past, a journey towards a brighter and happier future. And with each passing day, I felt more grateful for the new beginning we had found. Chapter 8. The Legal Battle. The crisp autumn air was starting to turn colder, hinting at the approaching winter. The leaves had fallen, leaving the trees bare and the ground covered in a golden carpet. It was a reminder of the changes we had been through and the new season ahead. With the court's decision in my favor, there was a sense of relief, but also a realization that the legal battle wasn't entirely over. Sarah had visitation rights, and we needed to work out the logistics. I wanted to ensure that the arrangement was smooth for Sophie and Lily, minimizing any disruption to their lives. One evening, after the girls had gone to bed, I received a call from Sarah. It was the first time we had spoken since the court ruling, and I was apprehensive about the conversation. "Michael, can we talk?" Sarah's voice was tentative, almost hesitant. "Of course, Sarah. What is on your mind?" I replied, trying to keep my tone neutral. "I know we've been through a lot, and I want to make sure we can co-parent effectively. The girls are our priority, and I want to make this work," she said, her voice steady but filled with emotion. "I agree, Sarah. The girls need both of us, and we need to put our differences aside for their sake," I responded, feeling a glimmer of hope that we could find common ground. We discussed the visitation schedule, agreeing on weekends and certain holidays. It was a challenging conversation, but we managed to remain civil and focused on the girls' needs. "Thank you, Michael. I appreciate you being willing to work with me on this," Sarah said as we concluded the call. "We are doing this for Sophie and Lily, and that's what matters," I replied, feeling a sense of closure. The next few weeks were busy as we adjusted to the new routine. Sarah came over to spend time with the girls, and I made sure to give them space to bond. It was awkward at times, but I knew it was necessary for the girls' well-being. One Saturday, as Sarah arrived to pick up the girls, she hesitated at the door. "Michael, can we talk for a moment?" "Sure," I said, stepping outside with her. "I've been thinking a lot about everything, and I want to apologize. I know I've caused a lot of pain, and I am truly sorry," she said, her eyes filled with sincerity. "Thank you, Sarah. I appreciate that. We can change the past, but we can work towards a better future," I replied, feeling a sense of relief. As the girls left with Sarah, I felt a weight lift off my shoulders. It was a step towards healing, and I was grateful for it. That evening, Nicole and Olivia came over for dinner. The girls had bonded wonderfully, and their laughter filled the house. As we sat around the table, sharing stories and enjoying the meal, I felt a deep sense of contentment. "Michael, this lasagna is amazing!" Olivia exclaimed, her face lighting up with delight. "Thanks, Olivia. It was one of my specialties," I replied, smiling. After dinner, we gathered in the living room, playing board games and watching a movie. The warmth of the fire and the joy of being together made me realize how far we had come. Later, as Nicole and I sat by the fire, she looked at me with a thoughtful expression. "Michael, I've been thinking about the future. What do you see for us?" I took a deep breath, considering her question. "Nicole, I see a future filled with love, laughter, and adventure. I want to build a life with you, one where our families are united and happy." She smiled, her eyes sparkling. "I feel the same way. I love you, Michael, and I believe we can create something beautiful together. I love you too, Nicole." "And I'm ready to take that step with you," I replied, feeling a surge of happiness. As the weeks passed, our bond grew stronger. We continued to support each other, facing the challenges of life with determination and love. The girls were thriving, their laughter a constant reminder of the joy we had found. One evening, as we sat down for dinner, I noticed a letter on the counter. It was from Sarah. I opened it, curious about its contents. "Dear Michael, I wanted to write to you to express my gratitude for how you've handled everything. I know it hasn't been easy, but I appreciate your willingness to work with me for the sake of the girls. They are lucky to have you as their father. I have been doing a lot of reflecting, and I realize now how much I took for granted. I am committed to being a better mother and person. Thank you for your patience and understanding. Sincerely, Sarah." I read the letter, feeling a mix of emotions. It was a step towards healing, and I hoped it would lead to a more harmonious co-parenting relationship. The next day, I decided to call Sarah and thank her for the letter. "Sarah, I received your letter. Thank you for your kind words. You are welcome, Michael." "I meant every word," she replied, her voice sincere. "I'm glad to hear that. Let's continue to work together for Sophie and Lily," I said, feeling a sense of closure. "We will, Michael. We will," she replied. As the holiday season approached, I wanted to do something special for the girls. Nicole and I planned a surprise trip to a cozy cabin in the mountains, complete with a Christmas tree and all the trimmings. When we revealed the surprise to the girls, their eyes lit up with excitement. "We going to the mountains for Christmas?" Sophie exclaimed. "Yes, we are!" "We're going to have a magical holiday," Nicole said, her smile radiant. The trip was everything we had hoped for. We spent our days playing in the snow, decorating the cabin, and baking cookies. The girls were filled with joy, and their laughter echoed through the cozy cabin. On Christmas Eve, as we sat around the fire, the girls snuggled up in their pajamas, I felt a deep sense of gratitude. Nicole handed me a small gift, her eyes twinkling with excitement. "Open it, Michael," she said, her voice filled with anticipation. I unwrapped the gift to find a beautiful pocket watch engraved with the words, "To a new beginning." "Nicole, this is perfect." "Thank you," I said, feeling a lump in my throat. "It's a reminder of how far we've come and the beautiful future ahead," she said, her eyes filled with love. As the girls drifted off to sleep, Nicole and I sat by the fire wrapped in each other's arms. The snow fell gently outside, and the warmth of the fire and our love filled the cabin. "Michael, this is the start of something wonderful," Nicole said, her voice soft. "It truly is, Nicole. And I can wait to see what the future holds," I replied, feeling a deep sense of contentment. The holiday season was a time of reflection, gratitude, and love. We had faced many challenges, but we had come out stronger, united, and ready to embrace the future. With Nicole, Sophie, Lily, and Olivia by my side, I knew we could face anything. This was our new beginning, and it was filled with promise, hope, and the joy of family. As we welcomed the new year, I felt a sense of excitement for what lay ahead. Life was a journey, and with the love and support of my family, I was ready to embrace every moment. This was the start of a beautiful new chapter, and I couldn't wait to see where it would lead. Chapter 9. The Unexpected Twist. As winter began to thaw into spring, life started to settle into a comfortable routine. The girls were thriving in school, and weekends were filled with family outings and new adventures. Nicole and I continued to grow closer, our bond deepening with each passing day. One afternoon, while I was at work, I received an unexpected call from Sarah. Her voice was tinged with urgency and a hint of nervousness. "Michael, can we meet? There's something important I need to talk to you about," she said. "Sure, Sarah. How about we meet at the coffee shop downtown in an hour?" I suggested, curiosity piqued. "That sounds good." "See you then," she replied, and the line went dead. As I drove to the coffee shop, I couldn't shake the feeling that something significant was about to unfold. When I arrived, Sarah was already seated at a corner table, her expression serious. "Michael, thank you for meeting me," she began as I sat down. "Of course." "What's going on, Sarah?" I asked, leaning forward. She took a deep breath, her hands fidgeting nervously. "I recently had a Dr. S appointment and they found something. I've been diagnosed with early-stage breast cancer." Her words hit me like a punch to the gut. I felt a wave of emotions, shock, concern, and an overwhelming sense of sadness. "Sarah, I'm so sorry. What does this mean for you? For the girls? I'm going to start treatment soon. The doctors are optimistic, but it's going to be a challenging road," she said, her voice trembling. "I wanted you to know because it will affect our co-parenting arrangement. I'll need your support more than ever during this time." "Of course, Sarah. We'll figure this out together. The girls need both of us, and we'll make sure they're taken care of," I said, reaching out to hold her hand. "Thank you, Michael. I know we've had our differences, but I appreciate your support," she said, tears welling up in her eyes. We spent the next hour discussing her treatment plan and how we could adjust our schedules to ensure the girls' lives remained as stable as possible. It was a difficult conversation, but we both knew it was necessary. That evening, I sat down with Nicole to share the news. Her face reflected the same concern and sadness I felt. "Michael, this is tough news. How are you holding up? I am still processing it, but we need to stay strong for the girls." "Sarah's going to need our help," I replied, feeling a sense of determination. "We'll get through this together," Nicole said, wrapping her arms around me. "The girls are resilient, and so are we." The next few weeks were a whirlwind of medical appointments and adjustments to our routine. Sarah started her treatment, and I made sure to be there for the girls, providing them with the love and support they needed. One evening, as we sat around the dinner table, Sophie looked up at me with a serious expression. "Daddy, is Mommy going to be okay?" I took a deep breath, trying to find the right words. "Your mom is very strong, Sophie. She's getting the best treatment, and we are all here to support her. We are going to get through this together." Lily looked at me with wide eyes. "Can we do something to help Mommy feel better?" "Yes, we can. How about we make a special card for her and plan a fun day to cheer her up?" I suggested, smiling at their eagerness. The girls spent the next day creating a beautiful card filled with drawings and messages of love. We also planned a picnic in the park, a small gesture to lift Sarah's spirits. When we arrived at Sarah's house with the card and picnic basket, her face lit up with gratitude. "Thank you, girls. This means so much to me," she said, hugging them tightly. As we sat in the park, enjoying the fresh air and each other's company, I felt a renewed sense of hope. Despite the challenges, we were finding ways to support each other and maintain a sense of normalcy for the girls. One evening, as Nicole and I sat on the porch, she turned to me with a thoughtful expression. "Michael, I've been thinking about how we can make things easier for everyone. What if Sarah moves in with us during her treatment? It would allow us to help her more directly, and it would be better for the girls." I was taken aback by Nicole's suggestion. It was a selfless and compassionate idea, and it made perfect sense. "Are you sure about this, Nicole? It's a big step." "I'm sure, Michael. We are a family, and families support each other. Plus, it will give Sarah the comfort of being with her daughters during this difficult time," she replied, her eyes filled with determination. The next day, I called Sarah to discuss the idea. She was hesitant at first, but after some reassurance, she agreed. We made the necessary arrangements, and a week later, Sarah moved into our home. It was an adjustment for all of us, but the atmosphere was filled with a sense of solidarity and support. The girls were thrilled to have their mom close by, and Sarah appreciated the care and attention she received. One afternoon, as I was helping Sarah with her medication, she looked at me with a grateful expression. "Michael, I don't know how to thank you and Nicole for this. You've both been incredible." "Sarah, we're doing this for you and the girls. We're all in this together," I replied, feeling a deep sense of compassion. As the weeks passed, Sarah's treatment progressed, and she responded well to the therapy. The girls adjusted to the new routine, and our blended family found a rhythm that worked. One evening, after a particularly challenging day, Nicole and I sat on the porch, reflecting on the journey so far. "Michael, this experience has shown me how strong we all are. It's been tough, but we are getting through it together." "I couldn't agree more, Nicole. This has been a true test of our resilience and love," I replied, feeling a deep sense of gratitude. As the days turned into weeks and weeks into months, Sarah's health continued to improve. She regained her strength, and the fear that had once gripped us began to fade. One sunny morning, as we sat in the garden watching the girls play, Sarah turned to me with a smile. "Michael, I wanted to tell you that my latest tests came back clear. The doctors are optimistic about my recovery. That is amazing news, Sarah. I am so happy for you," I said, feeling a surge of relief and joy. Nicole joined us, her face lighting up with the news. "This calls for a celebration. Let's plan a special day for the girls and us." We spent the day at the beach, basking in the sun and enjoying the simple pleasures of life. It was a day filled with laughter, love, and the promise of a brighter future. As the sun set, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink, we gathered around a bonfire, toasting marshmallows and sharing stories. The warmth of the fire and the love that surrounded us filled my heart with a sense of peace. Michael, thank you for everything. You've been my rock through all of this, Sarah said, her eyes filled with gratitude. We are a team, Sarah, and we'll always be here for each other, I replied, feeling a deep sense of connection. As we looked out at the horizon, I realized that this unexpected twist had brought us closer together. It had tested our strength, our love, and our resilience, and we had emerged stronger. With Nicole, Sarah, Sophie, Lily, and Olivia by my side, I knew that we could face anything. This was our family, bound by love and the shared journey of life. And as we moved forward, I felt a deep sense of hope and anticipation for the future. The unexpected twist had shown us the true meaning of family, and it was a lesson that would stay with us forever. This was our story, and it was filled with love, resilience, and the promise of a beautiful tomorrow. Chapter 10. The Final Decision. Spring had fully blossomed, bringing with it a sense of renewal and hope. Sarah's health continued to improve, and our blended family found a new normal. Yet, amidst the progress, there was a lingering decision that needed to be addressed: my future with Nicole. One evening, after the girls had gone to bed and the house was quiet, I sat on the porch with Nicole. The night was clear, stars twinkling above, and the air was filled with the scent of blooming flowers. Nicole, there's something I've been wanting to talk to you about, I began, my heart pounding. She turned to me, her eyes filled with curiosity and a hint of apprehension. What is it, Michael? I took a deep breath, gathering my thoughts. We've been through so much together, and your support has been incredible. I can imagine my life without you. I want us to take the next step, to build a future together as a family. Nicole's eyes softened, and a smile spread across her face. Michael, I've been thinking the same thing. I love you, and I love our life together. I'm ready to take that step with you. Relief washed over me, and I took her hands in mine. Nicole, will you marry me? Tears welled up in her eyes as she nodded. Yes, Michael, yes, I will. We embraced, the promise of a new chapter filling our hearts with joy and anticipation. The next morning we shared the news with the girls, their excitement contagious. You are going to get married? That's so cool, Sophie exclaimed, jumping up and down. I can wait! This is the best news ever, Lily added, her eyes sparkling. Olivia hugged Nicole tightly. I am so happy for you, Mom. The following weeks were filled with wedding preparations. We decided on a small, intimate ceremony in the garden, surrounded by close family and friends. The girls were involved in every step, their excitement adding to the joy of the occasion. On the day of the wedding, the garden was transformed into a beautiful floral wonderland. The sun was shining, and a gentle breeze rustled the leaves. As I stood at the altar waiting for Nicole, I felt a sense of peace and contentment. When Nicole appeared, walking down the aisle with the girls by her side, my heart swelled with love. She looked radiant, her smile lighting up the garden. As she reached the altar, we exchanged vows, promising to love and support each other through all of life's challenges. The girls stood beside us, their smiles reflecting the happiness that filled the air. I now pronounce you husband and wife. You may kiss the bride, the officiant declared, and I leaned in, sealing our promises with a kiss. The reception was a celebration of love, laughter, and new beginnings. Friends and family danced under the stars, and the girls' laughter echoed through the night. Later, as Nicole and I sat by the fire watching the girls play, I felt a deep sense of gratitude. Nicole, this is everything I have ever wanted. Thank you for being my partner, my love, and my best friend. She smiled, leaning in to kiss me. Thank you, Michael, for believing in us and for building this beautiful life together. As the night drew to a close, we gathered the girls and headed inside. The house was filled with warmth and love, a testament to the journey we had taken together. The next morning, we embarked on a family honeymoon, a road trip to explore the national parks. The girls were thrilled, their excitement palpable as we packed up the car. Our first stop was Yellowstone, where we marveled at the geysers and hiked through breathtaking landscapes. The girls loved spotting wildlife, and we spent our evenings around the campfire, sharing stories and roasting marshmallows. One evening, as we sat by the fire, Sophie looked up at the stars. "Daddy, do you think we'll always be this happy?" I smiled, pulling her close. "I believe we will, Sophie, because we have each other and that's all we need." Lily snuggled up to Nicole. "I love our family. This is the best adventure ever. We love it too, Lily." "And we're going to have many more adventures together," Nicole replied, her voice filled with warmth. Our journey took us to several national parks, each stop a new adventure. We hiked through the Grand Canyon, explored the majestic forests of Yosemite, and marveled at the beauty of the Great Smoky Mountains. Along the way, we created memories that would last a lifetime. The girls' laughter echoed through the canyons, their faces filled with wonder and joy. Nicole and I cherished every moment, grateful for the love and connection that had brought us together. One afternoon, as we stood at the edge of a cliff, looking out over a stunning vista, I felt a profound sense of peace. This was our life, filled with love, adventure, and the promise of a beautiful future. "Michael, this is perfect," Nicole said, her hand resting on my arm. "It really is," I replied, feeling a deep sense of contentment. As we continued our journey, I realized that this was just the beginning. We had faced challenges, but we had emerged stronger and more united. Our family was a testament to the power of love and resilience. When we returned home, the house felt even warmer, filled with the memories of our adventure. The girls settled back into their routines, and Nicole and I continued to build our life together. One evening, as we sat on the porch reflecting on our journey, Nicole turned to me with a thoughtful expression. "Michael, we've come so far, and I know we'll face more challenges in the future, but I believe in us, in our love and our family." "I do too, Nicole. We've built something beautiful, and I know we can handle anything that comes our way," I replied, feeling a deep sense of conviction. As the sun set, casting a golden glow over the garden, I felt a sense of peace. This was our life, filled with love, laughter, and the promise of a bright future. With Nicole, Sophie, Lily, and Olivia by my side, I knew we could face any challenge and embrace every joy. This was our story, and it was filled with love, resilience, and the promise of a beautiful tomorrow. Chapter 11. Moving Forward. Summer arrived, bringing with it long, warm days and the promise of new adventures. Our family had settled into a comfortable rhythm, and the bond between Nicole and me grew stronger each day. The girls were thriving, their laughter and joy a constant reminder of how far we had come. One sunny afternoon, as we relaxed in the backyard, the girls playing in the sprinkler, Nicole turned to me with a thoughtful expression. "Michael, I've been thinking about the future. What are your thoughts on expanding our family?" I looked at her, surprised but intrigued. "Are you suggesting we have another child?" "Not necessarily," she replied, smiling. "I was thinking about fostering or adopting. There are so many children who need a loving home, and I think we could provide that." The idea warmed my heart. "Nicole, that's a wonderful idea. Let's explore it and see where it leads." We spent the next few weeks researching and discussing the possibility of fostering or adopting. We talked to the girls about it, wanting to ensure they were on board with the idea. "That sounds amazing, Daddy," Sophie exclaimed. "I'd love to have a new brother or sister." "Me too," Lily added, her eyes shining with excitement. "It would be so much fun." With the girls' enthusiastic support, we decided to move forward. We contacted a local agency and began the process, attending orientation sessions and filling out the necessary paperwork. During this time, we continued to create wonderful memories with the girls. We went on camping trips, explored new hiking trails, and spent lazy afternoons at the beach. Each moment was filled with love and laughter, strengthening our family bond. One evening, after a particularly enjoyable day at the park, Nicole and I sat on the porch, reflecting on our journey. "Michael, I'm so grateful for everything we have. I can wait to see where this next chapter takes us," she said, her eyes filled with love. "Me too, Nicole." "This is just the beginning of our adventure," I replied, feeling a deep sense of contentment. As the weeks turned into months, we progressed through the fostering process. The agency was supportive, guiding us every step of the way. Finally, we received the call we had been waiting for. Michael, Nicole, we have a little boy named Jacob who needs a temporary home. He is 5 years old and has been through a lot. Are you ready to meet him? The social worker asked. Nicole and I exchanged a look of excitement and determination. Yes, we are ready, I replied, feeling a surge of anticipation. The day we brought Jacob home was filled with mixed emotions. He was shy and nervous, holding tightly to his stuffed bear as he walked through the door. The girls were gentle and welcoming, eager to make him feel at home. Hi, Jacob. I am Sophie, and this is Lily. Do you want to play with us? Sophie asked, her voice kind and inviting. Jacob nodded, a small smile breaking through his apprehension. Okay, he said softly. As the days passed, Jacob began to open up, his laughter mingling with the girls as they played together. Nicole and I worked hard to create a safe and loving environment for him, and slowly he began to trust us. One evening, as I was tucking him into bed, he looked up at me with wide eyes. Are you my new daddy? His question tugged at my heart. For now, Jacob, we'll take care of you and keep you safe. Okay, he whispered, snuggling into his pillow. The journey with Jacob was filled with challenges and rewards. There were difficult moments as he processed his past. But there were also moments of pure joy as he bonded with our family. One sunny afternoon, we decided to take a trip to the zoo. The girls were excited, and Jacob's eyes lit up with anticipation. As we wandered through the exhibits, marveling at the animals, I felt a deep sense of fulfillment. Daddy, look at the elephants, Jacob exclaimed, his face filled with wonder. They were amazing, aren't they? I replied, lifting him up so he could see better. Nicole snapped a picture, capturing the moment of pure joy. This is perfect, she said, her smile radiant. As we continued our day at the zoo, I realized how much our family had grown and evolved. We had faced challenges and embraced change, emerging stronger and more united. That evening, as we gathered for dinner, the atmosphere was filled with love and laughter. Jacob was becoming more comfortable, his smile a regular feature at the table. Michael, this has been one of the best days ever, Nicole said, her eyes shining with happiness. I couldn't agree more, I replied, feeling a deep sense of contentment. As the weeks turned into months, Jacob became an integral part of our family. We navigated the ups and downs together, always focusing on love and support. One evening, as Nicole and I sat on the porch, reflecting on our journey, she turned to me with a thoughtful expression. Michael, I've been thinking about how far we've come. Do you ever wonder what the future holds for us? I do, Nicole, and I believe it's filled with love, adventure, and endless possibilities, I replied, feeling a deep sense of optimism. We have built something beautiful, Michael, and I know we'll continue to grow and thrive together, she said, her voice filled with conviction. As the sun set, casting a golden glow over the garden, I felt a profound sense of peace. This was our life, filled with love, laughter, and the promise of a bright future. With Nicole, Sophie, Lily, Olivia, and Jacob by my side, I knew we could face any challenge and embrace every joy. This was our story, and it was filled with love, resilience, and the promise of a beautiful tomorrow.